Master Monster here. Here with another Stalker 2 video. This one's gonna be special. What does my board say? We are 12 days away, from Stalker 2. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not long at all. Stalker 2 will be here before we know it. Um, and as such, I wanted to make a special video, um, to help ease people into it, I guess. Um, I've seen a lot of comments online on, uh, certain individuals don't, who are scared because of all the delays that this game is going to be trash. Um, are making it known that because of all the delays, we'll wait and see and yada yada. Um, So I wanted to talk to those people. If you are a fan of Stalker, um, or you have your reservations about the game, maybe you're a little bit skeptic, or you don't think this game could possibly be good because of all the delays, I won't. I want to dissuade you from thinking that. Mostly because I just think that just because I don't know. I feel like some people aren't paying attention. Like they're just they just hear about the delays, they know of the delays, and they don't look any deeper into what's actually going into this game. Um, uh, so let's get into that. The game itself uh, has been through delays, as you know. If you don't know, the game wasn't just delayed a year; it was announced back in 2012. Um, but the Stalker team, if nothing else, is committed to releasing this game. They said multiple times that they're not going to move from the November 20th date. Despite that, I would see on the Discord and on YouTube comments on their videos and other people's videos, oh, I'm not getting that hyped up. They're gonna delay it again, and they didn't delay it again. They're not. They already said multiple times for a few months before I started reading all this that it wasn't gonna get delayed again. Um, they're committed to this team and they're committed to this game. I mean GSC, first of all, um, isn't isn't a AAA game studio. They they aren't. In fact, they aren't even remotely connected to any of the studios we know nowadays that we kind of just don't really like these big. They have a different mindset. It's a different team, and so I think it's a little unfair when I hear people being like, "Oh, it's just another big open world game, yada yada yada," and it's just like, well, wait, this is give them a shot. You can't just dismiss them because you know they're touting a big open world. Give them a shot. Um, So the delay started, of course, with a lack of cash back in 2012, from what I've heard, cash funding, um, and so from what the devs have said in interviews that I can remember, um, the game has changed a lot since then, like a lot, uh, and that's a very good thing. And in fact, all the delays probably made this sequel that's been waiting for just that much better. I don't think the delays necessarily are a good thing because it digs into finances and shit like that. But they didn't just release some random. They're not just releasing whatever and just throwing it to us. They don't. At least to me personally, and people there, I definitely don't blame you for not, you know, believing in this. But they don't come off as your typical, you know, even old school 343 before they became Halo Studios. They don't give off that vibe. Um, um, so yeah, there was that. The war happened. Um, and this gets said in a lot of the reviews and stuff, but like you cannot people being like red flags, like you try making a game when your dev team moved from Kiev all the way to like another area and then had to restart building their stuff. Now, like they had already had some major progress on the game, and then they had to do all that. Like no doubt there was delays, and then they kept going at it, and it was only like a few months before the 2023 release date did they finally say, hey, we need like almost another year on this game. Um, and even then, they said it was just to flesh out the smaller areas of the game, the little nooks and crannies, which is completely understandable and something you'd want because this game is all about exploring a deadly, hostile place. And if there's nothing to find there, it's not going to feel good. Um, uh, Call Pripyat here is probably, well, at least mechanically speaking, one of the best games in the series to look at. Um, and just feels good to play. It feels good to walk around and explore in this one. I'm not saying the other ones don't have that, but just they have less of the natural exploring and um, more of the you're not allowed to go here and here. The open worldness wasn't there. Um, so yeah, they had a after that, and they moved in their new place. They had a server room fire, guys. Or some sort of fire. I wrote down as server room fire. I might be misremembering that, but they started up in the new place. They were starting to get everything going. They had to rebuild their mocap shit. Um, and uh, and then the server room catches on fire. As well. So like this company is the fact that we're getting this game at all feels bad, but I know that does not dissuade people from like thinking it's gonna be trash. Um, and I honestly, I don't think it would be trash. Honestly, I don't think GSC would do that. They have said themselves they want to be as bug free as possible on release, but they know that there's gonna be some things they're not gonna be able to squash. But that's why they have planned for post support, which I'll get to in a second. Um, so I already mentioned that like they're not. I wouldn't consider them a AAA team. AAA games usually have like hundreds of people working on it, and I'm not sure on GSC's exact numbers, but whatever exact numbers, whatever numbers they had, got cut in half with the war, um, because they had to they said so themselves. Half their team um, left to go fight in the war. So, you cut any dev team in half. Obviously going to lead to more delays, less work being able to get done, yada yada. Um, so yeah, like the biggest thing I hear people worry about is delays. But honestly, this isn't exactly a game that should be judged like the other games, I guess you could say. Or actually, yeah, like it shouldn't be judged like the other games because it's not. It's straight up just there's all these conditions I just mentioned under it. Now does that mean it won't still be bad? No, but I feel like this should give you pause and make you reconsider at least a little bit. Um, so there's that. Next up, and the main reason I decided to make this video is, guys, I was walking home from work yesterday and the game went gold. For those of you who do not know what that is, because it's not really used too much anymore, and that could have something to do with everything being digital and online. But there used to be a gold trim, I guess, on old school video games, and when people say that they go gold, that means it's ready to ship and it's product free, quality free. So they must have updated their in-dev house version of the game and been like, okay, we're done. This is the base game, and they'll probably, they're not gonna obviously stop development. Like I said, there's post-launch stuff going on and planned, but that does mean, as you watch this video, the game is, in their eyes, ready to ship. They've fixed all the bugs they wanted to fix, any glaring issues, anything that didn't feel right with the game. Devs, like I said, the devs had acknowledged they needed to put more things for players to find and the side things, so they probably were working on good locations to put stashes away in and putting more ammo and stuff in little areas that maybe they had. I'm gonna get shot at, but that's alright. Um, but yeah, so that is something that should help. If that doesn't dissuade you, because I don't know, I'm just saying I can't remember a time a game company last last told me that like, oh, our game's gone gold. Like, I don't even think Bethesda. I don't remember Bethesda or any other company making a big deal about it, but they had a whole video dedicated to, they like with like a little more clips from the game and stuff showing off. I think it showed off, might even showed off some new areas. But so the dev team is well aware of your hesitancy about and reservations about their own game. Um, they are well aware of that, and I think that's why they've talked so much about making sure the game was of good quality and has as little bug as possible because they know people want a good experience on launch. Um, they've said so themselves. Um, so yeah, and let's move on to like a big sticking point for me, which isn't so much around the stuff going around the game development, but how they feel about the game themselves that they've created. Um, the devs have said it on a handful of occasions. From watching like additional content that like they want this game to be a game uh, that people can experience however they want. They don't even care if you complete the main story. They've said it themselves that you don't have to play the game main story if you don't want. They wanted the game to be fun if you just you know ignored the main story and just went around exploring the world and doing side quests and whatever. They wanted that to be fun as going through the main story. There's no they've also said that there's no equipment unlocks through the main story as well. Um, and I think what they mean by that is there's nothing that would, you know, prevent you from going into an area um, because you just didn't have the gear. Um, because you needed to complete a main storyline. And you find that a lot in open world games. Actually, nowadays, where you'll explore and you'll have an area and it'll be a cliffside. And it's like you'll try to climb it and you can't, and it's because you didn't have the things. And I'm not referring to Metrovania. That's when I'm talking about this. I think Horizon Zero Dawn did it have that? Maybe it didn't. I'm not sure. But there's I'm sure you could think of a few games. I'm having trouble thinking of exactly of a game that had this mechanic. I know they're out there. I know I've played them. I just can't think of one right now. Um, so there's gonna be none of that. As soon as you complete the tutorial, um, and the tutorial section, which will kill you, if you're new to the game, or playing on a hard difficulty, mind you. Um, but as soon as they've taught you what you need to know through an intro sequence of establishing the character, you are free to do whatever you want. No bars, minus some in-game areas, which they said there were like a select few locations that you won't be able to enter. Actually, it's probably gonna work like Call Pripyat, where it's a story based like probably an X lab, and you need to do a story mission to get a code to enter that lab from someone. Um, you know, so that's probably what they're referring to if I had to take a guess. But they're not. Oh, um, they're not like they're not gonna gatekeep you from too much open world content, which is nice. And the fact that all their stuff is gonna be all the goodies are gonna be hidden and not rewarded from main quest means you can get as geared up as you want for the main story. You could walk into probably the second main story mission after exploring the entire map with fully upgraded armor, fully upgraded weapons. I actually haven't. I don't know if they have gonna have armor upgrades. I haven't seen that, but I'm imagining they would. Armor upgrades were a big part of Clear Sky in this game. I don't imagine they take it away. Um, so yes, there is that to consider. Um, the uh, the the most devs are afraid of saying don't play our story. In fact, it's not actually something you would hear normal a normal development team. Think any of the big companies, EA, Xbox, they wouldn't be like, oh, you don't have to play the main story if you don't want to. No, who says that? It's crazy, crazy good. It's crazy in a good way. Um, so let's see here. So next up on the list is the reviews. I've been watching sections of reviews, and even the reviews that aren't like the most praiseworthy have segments of it where I'm like, okay, but you're enjoying this game at least a little bit. There was one bad one I read, but even then, it didn't seem like too terrible of a review. And honestly, he seemed like he was a noob stalker who maybe wasn't the right audience for it. Um, but yeah, but for the most part, the reviews from people who played soccer, because this is a game for the fans. This is not some, they didn't add in a bunch of new mechanics and like you know quest relays and whatnot, and like towers to see the map. They didn't jump on any trends. They stuck to the original formula. Uh, and for the developers, or for the reviewers who played this game and played the old games, the reviews are quite positive. Really, really positive. They did note some bugs, but we don't know what copy of the game they were playing. And honestly, I would say uh, it'd be very unwise to expect there to be no bugs. In fact, that's always never the case. There will never be a game with no bugs. Um, the question is whether the bugs will be anything as drastic as Clear Sky. Um, and they only played the first 3 hours, but if when you're getting 3 hours of the game and it's glowing, that's good. But let's hope the second half of the game is keeps the quality. I imagine they would be. Um, but the that's always a good sign when you have fans of the series who are also game reviewers, and they come in and and they say, I was expecting more bugs, and like it was a pretty clean experience. So I don't think this obviously for the cryptic I personally think this is a good sign. But for some of you cryptics out there, you might not be as hesitant. And I'm not saying, you do you. But I think this game is gonna prove a lot of people wrong about how they feel about games. But it's also gonna be important to remember this doesn't mean just because this game, if it does end up being as good as I think it's gonna be, um, doesn't mean every game that that releases that has these conditions is gonna be good. This is just for GSC. Um, and I don't know, GSC hasn't really at least in my personal opinion, uh, they haven't really done anything too wrong as far as I can think. For as far as there's no history of them screwing over people. I've never heard anything like that coming out of them. So there's that to consider. Like, yeah, yes. Um, but yeah, sorry, that's my thing for work. And one of my last biggest points for GSC, and why you should, maybe trust them a little bit more than you would your average game company. Uh, that they've already confirmed after launch support. Um, not only because they have some story DLCs to release, which we've never seen in a Stalker game. I'm pretty hyped for that. But I'll do another video on the new features and stuff later. So if you want to see that, like and subscribe. I got some. I'd like to think I got some value insight just because I do spend a lot of my time watching the content for this, and like thinking about it while I'm at my not my workplace. Uh, but yeah. Um, so yeah, the after community. Sorry, I got really focused killing these people. I needed that ammo. Um, so the after support, so like not just the DLC, but like any bugs that do crop up, I'm sure they'll crush. In fact, that's probably what the team is gonna focus on the first couple weeks. Any bugs that slip through the cracks, or any bugs that weren't as big, but they still wanted to fix potentially. You know, I imagine that there's gonna be some fun bugs in this game. Um, Anyone who's spent a lot of time with the Stalker games will know that because of how their physics engine's pretty fucking robust, and honestly, it's gonna be even more robust in the Stalker 2. Um, I've already heard some of these early reviewers that I've talked about mention complete zones that have different gravity than others, which is kind of interesting that you can just walk into a different pocket of gravity with different physics. I'm wondering if that'll affect uh, you know, bullet trajectory and stuff. Um, but yeah, the it's kind of crazy, like that all that is happening. Um, uh, with all that, the the mod support um, is going to be huge for this game, and the mods themselves are going to be huge. The debt. Now we don't know when we're gonna get the kit. Obviously, the team is you can't even think about working on that, or if they are working on it, it's it's gonna be it's gonna be a while before we see anything substantial on like what that's gonna look like as far as like mods are concerned. But they did confirm they were going for full mod support on Xbox and PC. Um, and the guy doing the interview, he of course asked, he's like, "Is this gonna be, how what is this? Just texture changes?" And I'm like, "Oh no, you're gonna be able to do full conversion mods when the toolkit's released." That's insane. Um, like there's not many devs teams that let you do like full conversion mods. Even I want to say even Larian, their mod thing, they seem to not be able to do a full conversion mod. That is until a some it dropped on like a mod kit. There was something about Larian's mods, but this is like Larian levels of like, here's the keys to the game, kind of. At least that's what I'm hoping it's gonna be like. Like full conversion mods are just that. It's like here's the game. You can change the maps. You can do that. It's not gonna just be some animations that you can throw in, some sounds, some texture swaps. Um, you're gonna be able to probably, hopefully, dig into the meat and potatoes of what makes the Stalker game, uh, tick. Um, and that's fun to hear. I really, I really can't wait to see. Um, I saw someone's video just before making this actually, which kind of inspired me to talk about this a little bit. Um, they were going on about how like Stalker could disappoint a lot of people who were up just playing Anomaly because if you don't know, there's a mod called Stalker Anomaly that you can just go on your PC if you have one, and you can just go and download it for free. And I've seen some gameplay in the past, but you can basically customize where you start, customize all this stuff about it. And people were like, he was just like, this isn't gonna be that. Please, I think for the most part, people, even if they're fans of Stalker Anomaly, I feel like, you know, they realize that this is gonna be its own thing. At least I hope so. Um, but I hope they ain't tripping and they're not like, well, this wasn't like anomaly, so I hate it. I don't think that's gonna happen. I hope it doesn't happen. Um, but who knows? Give this is gonna be one of those games like it looks like they're gonna make it this. They're trying to set this game up just like they did for their other soccer games, where people are playing it years ahead of time. Um, but you know they're not. That's not like a. That's not like something that's just something they're just gonna seem to allow the community to do, which is great. But they are first and foremost designing the single player campaign or the single player story and world. They're trying to make that. It's clear they're trying to make that as good as possible. Um, uh, Before it's not like it's not like Bethesda, who released Starfield, which was a mess on launch. Had some pretty bad bugs. It was still Bethesda's least janky release, but it was still really janky. Um, uh, and so and so, but their philosophy going into this was like, oh, we want this to be a game fans can play and stuff, and there's lots of space for them to work with. It's like, yeah, you gave them space to work with, but the game ain't fun. Whereas GSC is just like, yeah, we're just gonna give them mod tools, and we're gonna make we're gonna try to make exploring the map fun. We're gonna try making playing the story fun, and it's just like that's great. So everything else is just gonna be icing on the cake. You're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna have to wait to enjoy Stalker on release. I don't think you're gonna have to wait for like major bugs to be released. I'm not gonna say the game isn't gonna get way better over time, because when mod support releases, you're gonna be able to get all sorts of new experiences from this game. This is gonna be a game you download, you keep. You don't necessarily play it all the time, but whenever you want to return to the zone, she'll be waiting for you. Um, and that's how I truly feel about all of this. I just hope the PC mods work on the Xbox, or the people developing mods for PC bring their mods to the Xbox. Um, I do want to end this by saying I already saw, because I've seen people comment on this about YouTube videos, and it always starts a war, you know. It always starts a war when someone's like, I wish I could play this co-op with my friends, and people are like, oh, it's a single player experience, and people act so hostile to people who like, I wish I could experience this with my friends. Like that is a very genuine thing to want to do, is just experience a game with a friend. Now, um, and lower your pitchforks, lower your pitchforks, and let me explain first. Um, I agree to somewhat to like a co-op experience. Like, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's even needed. Um, but there's nothing wrong with a co-op experience in a single player being available in a single player game like this. Do GSC need to be the ones to do that? Fuck no. In fact, I don't want them to be the ones to do that. But if someone's gonna mod in, especially when they release the multiplayer for this game, yeah, like there's gonna be multiplayer functionality with this game. How the modders take that with the mod kit and turn co-op Stalker into a thing, I don't know. Will it be just on PC? Probably. Which is gonna suck if they don't actually bring it to Xbox. But I saw a comment on one of these comment wars, and someone was just like, "Yeah, my team's already planning on modding this." I think he said it for Xbox too, but I could be wrong. I don't exactly remember what the comment said. I just remember that he said he had a team and he was gonna work on it as soon as mod support and multiplayer are both in the game. They're gonna work on bringing some a co-op mod, and that's crazy, man. There is a demand for co-op Stalker, and well, I get people who don't want that, and I don't think GSC should make it. There's a demand for it. Modders will do it. I mean, there isn't naked models of is it Leah, the fucking steward you get from being the Jarl White right run. Like I'm sure like I've heard you see some shit but it's like you know like there's mods for everything imaginable. I've seen, especially in Baldur's Gate, you've seen mods of like just ridiculous ones, Squidward face thing, the characters and all this other shit. And then granted, that's not like a full conversion mod, but like people are gonna go crazy. I feel like, you know, I have a feeling we'll get Anomaly like 2.0, like maybe 5 years after launch. I don't know how hard it is to make a mod like that. I imagine it takes some some time, but it is going to be possible. It seems it hopefully on PC and Xbox. Um, they've already have mod support for the original trilogy, but that seems very limited. But it seems like they're going for a more robust and open mod system for this game. But that's all I really have to say. I'm looking forward to the future, um, no matter how bleak it might look um, for everyone. Even if things aren't gonna go be the best, at least we'll have a good game, and we'll be able to sit around the campfire and enjoy ourselves with this game. That is all for me. If you guys watched the video, I appreciate it. Um, Leave a comment down below of your concerns or whatever. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice day.